What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this. Beautiful, delicious, smoky, barky, quick, amazing 4.5 hour brisket cook. That's right, folks. Today we're testing out Chris Young's 6-hour brisket method to see how it comes out. Come on up. This is a brisket. Pat it dry. And what I've got here is an absolutely beautiful looking brisket. Picked this up at Costco, and this is actually the Wagyu briskets they've been carrying lately. But of course you don't have to spring for the good stuff, but I figured we could use all the help we can get with how we're cooking this thing today. And that's because today we're going to be attempting Chris Young's brisket method, where he cooks a brisket in 6 hours. And if you're unfamiliar with Chris Young, he's a chef slash food scientist that's worked at some of the best restaurants in the world, like the Fat Duck in England, under Heston Blumenthal. He worked on the Modernist Cuisine, he co-founded Chef Steps, and now he owns Combustion Inc., where he makes the predictive thermometers, and he also has a YouTube channel, and the guy is just a wealth of knowledge. If you haven't checked out his channel before, I highly recommend it. I have learned so much from him. Very smart guy. But about a year ago, he put out a video where he cooked a brisket in 6 hours using a lot of food science and different techniques, and I've been dying to try it ever since because it looked really good. And it's not your typical hot and fast brisket where it's gonna be really crunchy and kind of old school. It just uses different techniques to render the fat, convert the collagen into gelatin, and get that nice tender brisket we all know and love. And if it works out, you know, a 6-hour brisket is a great thing to have in the back pocket. But per usual, first thing we need to do is get this bad boy trimmed up. So I'm gonna start on the back side here, get this big decal fat taken out. Don't need that. And then we can start cleaning up the back side here. And just like that, backside looking pretty clean. We can always come back and touch this up at the end. So moving on to this side, we have got a big chunk of fat, which is unfortunate, but that's gotta come off. Save that for tallow or sausage. Take down this big pocket of fat over here as well. Being sure to round everything off, make it aerodynamic, make it look pretty. Beautiful looking brisket though, a lot of great marbling in there. And I should mention also that this was only 50 cents more per pound than their primes, and it was also a bit smaller. So the cheapest prime I could have bought was like $125 or something like that, where this one was like $1.15. But even if you're getting an 8-pound brisket, spending an extra $9 for that nice marbling, I'm okay with it. Flip it over, take out this pocket of fat between the point and the flat. Big old point muscle on this one, so we'll go ahead and knock that down a little bit. A little bit of meat, but mostly all that really gross fat coming off. And then we'll start taking down the fat cap as well. Just trimming this up like any other brisket, folks. Fat cap looking pretty good. Scalped it just a little bit. I'm fine with it. Give it the old Chud scrape, make it look nice and clean. And now it's time to give this thing some shape. So we're gonna come on this side and kind of square it up. And now remove this really thin part and give this thing some good shape. Save that for burgers or sausage. Round off this point, tip, I should say. And there we have it. That's a good looking brisket to me. Nice and clean, good amount of fat on there. Nicely trimmed up. Pretty aggressive trim on that today, but I'm fine with it. And I'm not sure if it's because it's like 90% humidity out here or if it's because this is Wagyu, but that fat was really hard to trim. Took a while. But now let's get this thing seasoned up. Now, one of the problems we're gonna have cooking the brisket how we're doing it today is we're not gonna be able to develop a smoke ring, which is completely fine from an eating perspective, but it's just not gonna look like a Texas brisket. But luckily, Chris has a hack for that, and that is to bust out some water and a small amount of some pink curing salt. So in this bottle, I've got 1 cup of water and half a teaspoon of pink salt #1. And by spritzing this on there, we're gonna get a fake smoke ring. Although technically it is a real smoke ring, we're just getting the nitric oxide from the curing salt as opposed to from the smoke. But again, this is purely for aesthetics. So if you're trying this at home, you can skip this step, but if you're doing it on camera, or you just want it to look a little bit more legit, this is how you go about it. Just a light little misting all the way around. Don't forget the sides. Flip it over, do the top side as well. Probably don't need it on the top side, but might as well while we're here. And once spritz down, we're gonna go on with our rub, which of course is some Chuds BBQ SPG, my rub of choice for briskets and all things barbecue beef. And we're just gonna go down with a nice healthy coating. And if you're feeling frisky, you can throw on a little bit of Chuds BBQ Secret Salt. I like to do it just on the bottom. That way it doesn't turn the brisket orange, so no one can tell it's there. Adding a little extra flavor, a little extra savory pop, but it's hidden on the bottom because it's our little secret. Flip it over, and we'll do the same to the top side. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and fire up the pit. Boop. And on the pit we go. I've got this brisket in a hotel pan on top of some wire racks, because the real trick to this technique is to steam the brisket, which I know sounds blasphemous, but it makes a lot of sense. And if you want to know more about all the exact science of how this works, definitely go check out Chris's video, because he goes pretty deep on it. But essentially how this works is I got this pellet grill ripping hot at about 600 degrees, so we're going to fill the bottom up here with some hot water, and because we're cooking so hot and fast, we're going to completely bypass the stall, expediting the cooking process quite a bit. But because it's going to be steaming in this covered vessel here, the surface of the meat isn't going to go above 212 degrees, so nothing's going to burn up on us. Beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this up with some foil and let this bad boy steam away. So from here, the game plan is pretty simple. I'm going to keep an eye on the water level, because if that goes dry, we're definitely going to burn this brisket. I'm also going to make sure the water is hot, boiling, and steaming, because in Chris's video, he did it on a gas grill, but I don't have one of those, but I do have a pellet grill, and worst case scenario, I can always move that little baffle plate so the pan is hit with direct heat, which will definitely help things boil, but I don't think it's going to be a problem, because it is parked right above the heating element in there. But really, again, I'm going to keep an eye on water levels, keep an eye on the internal temp of the brisket, and take this thing all the way up to 200, 205 degrees internal, which theoretically should only take a couple hours, but I guess we'll find out. As for pellets, I'm using my trusty Smokin pecan shell pellets, my pellet of choice. They burn for a really long time, which is great for a cook like this where we're cooking hot and fast. And they also have a great flavor to them, although we're really not going to get all that much flavor from these pellets on this cook, because that brisket is covered up. But I figured I'd let you know what I'm using either way. And if you want to save some money on these, check my link in the description box down below, or head to chudsbbq.com. Love these things. They're made out of 100% pecan shells. Pretty cool. Taste great, smell great, and nice and smoky, so whenever I do open that lid, it can only help. This video is brought to you by AG1. AG1 Next Gen is a daily health drink clinically shown to support gut health and fill in common nutrient gaps. With over 75 ingredients, including 5 probiotic strains, AG1 essentially replaces your need for multivitamins, probiotics, meaning there's no need for a whole shelf full of supplements, because AG1 replaces all the guesswork with 1 scoop or 1 travel pack. Simply start your day with AG1 and 12 ounces of water, give it a shake, and it tastes really good. And with this part of your morning routine, AG1 is going to help support your gut health, so less bloating, and nutrient replenishment helps you feel more satiated, so less snacking in the afternoons. And with summer upon us, travel plans are ramping up, vacations are happening, and AG1 is a great way to keep your nutrition consistent, especially with these travel packs, because you can bring these anywhere you go and start your day right. So if you want to give AG1 a try for yourself, click my link in the description box of this video or scan the QR code on screen now, taking you to drinkag1.com. And if you use my link, you get one of these free morning person hats and a free AG1 flavor sampler in your welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription. Again, link down below, QR code on screen now to get yourself a free hat and a free flavor sampler in your welcome kit, which is like an $82 value. And thank you to AG1 for sponsoring this video. We are about 2 hours and 23 minutes into this cook, and I think it's time to check back in on this brisket. I did come through and refill the water one time at the hour mark. Didn't go dry or anything like that, and it's looking very steamy in there. And honestly, it looks pretty weird. Definitely steamed. And the only problem I'm seeing so far is this little burnt spot right on top where the tin foil was touching. So if I was going to do this again, I'd probably do it in a deeper container so we don't have direct foil contact on top, because there's no room for steam to get in, so that got pretty crispy. So hopefully that's not a problem. As to be expected, the bark is not great, but honestly it looks better than I was expecting for a fully steamed brisket. But probing it, it's right around 200 degrees, 202 over here. So I think it's time to add some smoke to this bad boy. So I'm going to cover this back up and go ahead and fire up the pit. Maybe Cowboy Chris can help me catch that snake in my boot. And on to pit number 2 we go. Got the old offset here fired up to 350 degrees. And simply enough, on we go with our steamed brisket. And what we're trying to do at this point is cook this thing hot and fast to finish it off, render some more fat, dry out the surface a little bit, get a little bit better bark, add some smoky flavor, and make sure this thing is nice and tender. But I will say, it's pretty impressive to bring a brisket from raw to over 200 degrees in just about 2.5 hours. Pretty crazy. And of course you can finish this brisket on whatever you like. You know, you could just leave it on the pellet grill, you could throw it on the charcoal grill. Chris finished his in a big green egg, but because I've got an offset smoker and a big pile of Texas post oak, this seems like the most fitting way to finish off a brisket. Although I probably will try it on the pellet grill in the future, because this seems like a great move on a pellet grill. But again, the game plan from here is pretty simple. We're going to be cooking hot and fast to finish it off, because we want to continue to render that fat and break all that collagen down into gelatin, which Chris explains in his video happens a lot quicker at really high temperatures. And because we're already pushing 200 degrees internally, we're really just going by color, feel, and that jiggle factor. So hopefully an hour, maybe 2, but we'll check back in a little bit. 2 hours later, and I am calling this brisket done. And I gotta say, the bark looks a lot better than I was expecting because it looked pretty weird up front, but it's looking pretty nice. Feeling nice and jiggly, feeling nice and soft, probing around 205, 206 in some parts, and is feeling a little bit crispy, but now I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off and get it wrapped up, which puts our cook time at 4 hours and 45 minutes, which is wild. That's just water, by the way, followed by a little Wagyu Tallow. Why not? And we're doing the old paper wrap. It's been a while, but I think it'll help, especially because this end is feeling pretty hammered. A little fat on top as well. My tripod is failing me. That felt really awkward. I haven't done that in a long time, which is a shame. I used to be really good at the paper wrap, but yeah, this is feeling really nice, feeling nice and tender. Also, during that cook, it went on at 350 degrees, which I think might have been too hot. I know that's what Chris did in his video, but he did his on a big green egg, and I'm doing mine on an offset smoker. And these have a lot more convection. And after the first hour, it was looking really crispy and starting to bubble up a little bit, so I think 350 might have been too hot and fast. So after an hour of that, I bumped it down to around 300, maybe 320, and rocked it for the next hour. And that seemed to do just fine. Still probing nice and tender all the way through. Fat's feeling rendered, feeling nice and jiggly as well. And at this point, every part of me wants to throw this in my food warmer overnight for a nice overnight long heated rest, but that kind of defeats the point of a super short brisket cook. So I'm gonna let it sit here for probably an hour, maybe hour and a half, until it comes down to slicing temperature around 150 degrees, and then we can slice on in and see how it looks. And I suppose you could do the foil boat with this method, but it really doesn't make any sense because we're not gonna be collecting any juices. I mean, you could have done it, I guess, after the steam before you put it on, but then you're not gonna get any smoke flavor on the underside. And also mine at least had a pretty splotchy looking bark on it, so I think a full wrap is probably the move here. Either full paper or full foil, but I think paper is probably the move here. A little extra tallow, and make sure it doesn't steam out during the rest because it's already been thoroughly steamed. So in the paper it shall sit. Smells pretty good. And after about 2 hours of resting down, this thing took forever to cool down, but it finally came down to an internal temp of about 145, 150. And then I did park it in my toaster oven for like the last 45 minutes or so, mostly because a giant thunderstorm just rolled through. Now that that's passed, let's go ahead and slice on in. Not many juices in there for an oops. But taking a look at this thing, it's looking pretty barky. Definitely got some bald spots up front, and just by picking it up just then, the underside feels a little bit shreddy, but it's got some decent jiggle factor to it for sure. Look at that. Smells good. Let's go ahead and cut it right down the middle, shall we? Yeah, that looks pretty good. Honestly, that looks way better than I was expecting. Nice and juicy, nice and glistening, nice and tender, and again, the flop factor. And we even got a little bit of a smoke ring. That little pink salt trick worked out pretty well. Although I'm sure if I let that sit a little bit longer before putting it on the pit, that might be a little bit more prominent, but so far this is looking pretty good. Lean side over here, also looking nice and juicy, although a little bit shreddy right over here, but that happens from time to time. Crunchy bark too. Good looking slice of lean though, you know what I mean? Definitely juicy, definitely barky, holds up, pulls apart. Wow, pretty impressed with that, folks. You know, I've seen worse slices of lean on a barbecue tray before. But of course, let's see what the fatty end looks like. Ooh, that is some good looking burn ends right there. Good render on that, nice and fatty, glistening, nice and barky. And honestly, for a 4-hour cook, that is truly impressive. Again, this side does feel a little bit crispy, but all in all, it looks really good. Great render on that, nice and barky. Damn, that looks good. That is a nice, juicy piece of fatty brisket. Look at that. That's wild. Pretty pleased with that. I mean, all in all, folks, how can you not be impressed with that? You know, I threw this on the pit less than 8 hours ago. At any normal time, I don't even think I'd be wrapped yet. And here we are with a big pile of beautiful sliced up brisket. But really, it's all about how it tastes. All right, I'm going for it. Okay. Okay, it's so good. So juicy, I forgot it's a Wagyu. That explains it. The cook on that is pretty much perfect, you know? Nice and tender, not mushy. Going back for more. Ooh. Right off the bat, the cook on that is absolutely fantastic. You know, this definitely proves that you can, in fact, convert collagen into gelatin and render the fat in a hot and fast cooking method without it being super burnt and too crispy on the outside. Although I'm not sure if you heard that first bite I took, but the exterior of the fatty definitely had a little bit of crunch to it. It didn't shred, it sliced up well, but that's where I think lowering the temp when it's on the pit or maybe getting a little foil cap or a blocking log involved might help out. But again, it's completely edible, you know? It's just a little extra crunch. Doesn't take away or anything like that. My only two complaints are it's not very smoky, which is kind of to be expected, seeing how we brought it up to 200 degrees in a pellet grill, wrapped in foil and steamed. But there's definitely smoke there. It's just not as smoky as a brisket that I'm used to eating. But don't get me wrong, it is still delicious. It's a perfectly cooked brisket. It kind of reminds me of the pellet grill brisket, where it's 99% of the way there, but it's just missing that little bit of extra smoky flavor that you're going to get at a local barbecue joint around these parts. But I'm sure there's a way around it, you know. Maybe if we cold smoked it a little bit first, or again, just burned a little bit lower and slower fire, you know, I wouldn't mind tacking another hour onto this cook at a lower temp to get a little extra bark, a little extra smoke flavor. But all in all, this is nitpicking. Because of the convenience of this cook, this might be the easiest brisket cook I've done on the channel, and I've done a lot of brisket cooks. And again, we brought this up to 200 degrees in a matter of hours, and it is just perfectly cooked. Little slice of lean, shall we? That's a good slice of lean right there. I mean, look at that, folks. Come on. Beautiful fatty slice of brisket. You know, if you're one of those people that doesn't have a grill or anything at home, you could probably just do this in your oven all the way through, and it would still be a really good bite of barbecue. Maybe put a little liquid smoke in the spray or something like that, because that is some perfectly rendered fatty brisket right there. Little burn end. So beefy. I'm also going a little bit back and forth with the salinity on each bite. You know, some of the end bites closer to the bark are nicely seasoned, but some of the internal bites are a little bit bland. And I wonder if that's because it was cooked in the steam, that some of the salt may have dripped off with all the juices coming out, or maybe I sprayed it a little too much with that water in the beginning and some of that salt dripped off. So if I was gonna do this again, I would probably do an overnight dry brine, just to let that salt really penetrate the meat instead of going right into a really humid environment. And I think that would also help with the patchy bark that I got on there, because if that salt went into the meat, that black pepper really had time to stick. The seasoning would probably be a little bit more even, and it would probably look better. Although, if you're gonna do the pink salt spray up front, I'm not sure how that would affect it going overnight. You might get a super deep smoke ring that away. But that is an experiment for another day. But all in all, I am very pleased with how this came out. It tastes great. Got a crunchy bark from a paper wrap. Never seen that before. Fat is rendered perfectly, collagen is rendered perfectly, and it is by far the quickest brisket cook I've ever done. And a super cool technique that works out incredibly well. So Chris Young, if you ever see this, great job, and thank you on behalf of the barbecue world, because I could definitely see myself using this again if I'm ever in a pinch for a brisket really quick and I don't feel like doing an overnight cook or babysitting a smoker all day. And I definitely learned a few tweaks that I'm going to do next time. You know, deeper pan, dry brine, lower the temps on the pit just a little bit, burn it a little bit smokier, I think would help. And I think you'd come out with something that everyone will love. But that being said, this is absolutely fantastic. And if you're someone that doesn't like a super smoky brisket, but a perfectly cooked brisket, and you don't want to spend all day cooking it, this is definitely a method I can highly recommend. Little barbecue sauce. Oops. But before I go ahead and eat probably this entire brisket, I think it's time for the official taste test. I'm now done eating, and that brisket went on the pit 8 hours ago. Truly impressive. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make the quickest brisket that I have ever cooked. I know I keep saying it, but I am thoroughly impressed with this method. You know, science wins again. Who saw that coming? But all in all, that brisket was absolutely incredible and by far the easiest brisket cook I've ever done. And it was perfectly cooked. And I think for 99% of backyard cooks, getting that perfect doneness, that fat render, that collagen breakdown is the toughest part, because we can dial in the salinity really easily. We can change up the smoking method really easily for a little more smoky flavor. But the fact that you can get a brisket from raw to perfectly cooked in under 5 hours is just wild. And again, this is my first time trying this method out, and there's already several things I would do differently next time, like a deeper pan so I don't scorch the top, and everything else I talked about earlier in the video. But really, I think for 99% of home cooks that are just after a perfectly cooked brisket for friends and family, this is an absolutely fantastic method to try out. And I talk about it all the time, you know, barbecue for me is not about eating barbecue, it's more about cooking barbecue, so I don't mind spending 12 hours running a smoker to really dial in that craft barbecue experience. But there's also plenty of times when someone asks me for a last-minute brisket where I could really see this technique working out, and definitely something I'll be experimenting with in the future. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this method a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram. I love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Team Chud members. Thank you for supporting this channel and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.